Okay, we are live. Welcome back to the New Year's Indie Book Blitz. We are here with another panel of 5 amazing guest authors for a much anticipated discussion about fantasy romance. I know I promised you guys yesterday, if you watched the panel yesterday with Rachel, that we would talk about romance today. So here we are. We have Caitlin on, and Ashley, and Jamie, and AB and Kayla all on to talk about their indie fantasy romance books. We got a lot of different flavors represented in this room. So some new faces and some familiar faces. Welcoming everybody here. For those who don't already know who you are, would you mind starting us off, Kayla, and we'll go around the window. Just explain sort of what kind of fantasy romance you write, who you are, how long you've been writing.
Sure. So my name's Kayla Hansen. I am one of two. I work with a co-author who we just finished our 13-book romantic fantasy series, The Pantracia Chronicles. So it is 13 books and is one big epic series with an array of characters in it. And I'm trying to think. That's pretty much it. That's me. So Pantracia Chronicles, 13 books, and a co-author. Amanda Maritoff is my co-author, but I am just one part of the two who brought that to life.
Yay. Does your co-author know that you're speaking today? Are they jealous?
Yes. Yeah, she does. She knows that I'm on here. Yeah, we both now that we finished the series, we both unfortunately both our normal lives have taken over, and we don't get together as often as much as we used to. Have to still to run business, obviously. But yeah, she knows. She might tune in. We'll see.
Hello, if you're watching. For the replay. Yes, we actually have several people on, and I forgot to mention, if you're watching live, the whole reason we do these live is so that we can answer your questions, respond to your comments. So please leave them in the comments box, and we will pull them up as they come over. So AB, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I am a relatively new author. My book series is called the Elemental Wolf series, and it's I would almost pitch it more as a adult urban fantasy, but we kind of flirt in and out of romance. So I'm just excited to be here. This is a new experience for me.
Well, we're super honored to have you, and super excited to chat about your books too. That's a really hard market to be in right now too, because there's so many to choose from with wolves and everything. Has that been tough to overcome?
Oh, definitely. I launched into being an indie author, honestly, not knowing enough. So my new mantra is do more research before starting new things. So yes, I am a very small voice in a very large pantheon of writers and talented people. So it's been a really unique experience, and I'm still learning every single time I get on social media.
Yeah, that's part of the journey, though. Good thing about being indie is we can grow and get better and better and better before we go. Jamie, welcome. It's so good to have you on the panel for the first time.
Thanks for having me. So I have a 7-book urban fantasy romance series that's been completed. It's called the Talisman War series. And the first book is called The Pyre Starter. And then I also have 2 standalone sci-fi romances. So I have 9 books total out.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That's impressive. So I'm curious how you keep straight between the sci-fi and the fantasy aspect of it.
I just do one thing at a time. I never try to do more than one book at a time, because that will get me confused. Because I'm also a pantser, which means I don't do an outline or anything. So to do a 7-book series without an outline was interesting.
Living on the edge.
Yes.
With the only thing we know is it has a happy ending.
Eventually, yes.
Eventually. How long are you going to make us wait for it, though, right? So, Ashley, I've known you a long time over Facebook from a distance, but first time meeting, and you've got fans on already, too. Ashley is my favorite author. So sweet. So, Ashley, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of fantasy romance you write.
Sure. So I'm Ashley. Hi. I've written a number of books, most of them urban fantasy romance. I've recently strayed more into epic fantasy romance, and my probably best known title is this book, A Kingdom of Frost and Malice. It's fae fantasy romance, and that's kind of what I'm going to be sticking with for the foreseeable future, besides wrapping up one urban fantasy romance series. I live in Portland, Oregon. I'm a dog mom, and I write a lot.
Yay!
Yeah.
We love our pets. In this panel,
Yes.
Caitlin can vouch for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
She's
love
trying to get my attention right now. I'm like, girl, you've been sleeping all day. Chill out.
But now there's people.
There's a cat
Yeah.
right next to me.
I locked my boy out of the room. There was like no way. He's gonna start barking in the middle of this. It's not gonna go well.
Yep. Mine's in his kennel right now because of the same thing.
My cats are out there. Like, just wait out there for me. Yeah. And Caitlin, so good to have you back on. Belle is watching
Hi,
live.
Belle.
It actually feels odd to not have Belle on when I see you on.
It
I'm
is
so
odd.
used to you two being together.
Well, we're co-authoring books, so I mean, of course, we're always together.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like I'm seeing someone missing the other half here.
You are missing the other half. Sad. You'll see her not in like a couple days, I think.
Yeah. Belle's
Yeah.
coming on for a different panel, so you guys can meet the other half of that writing duo.
I think it's
then.
part 2, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember what.
So, Caitlin, while Belle is not on but watching and has no say, what kind of fantasy books do y'all write? And is there any secrets that you can spoil?
I do not think that there are any secrets I can spoil. There is some spice in them. I can tell you that. Yeah.
So yeah, why don't you remind the viewers, because we got a lot of new viewers this year, sort of who you are. You and Belle have written a lot of stuff. So
yeah, so I have 5 books out. I don't have all those ones. I have 5 books out. My first series is a completed series. It's She Awakens. And She Awakens starts off as a young adult, fade to black. And then as the series progresses, it turns into more spicy, new adult, dark fantasy kind of. And then after that, I wrote Blood Queen, which just came out November 14th. And it's new adult, dark fantasy, spicy. Starts in chapter 3.
yes, but still horses.
Yes, actually, still horses.
Yeah,
Horses in both series.
So how about everybody else as far as pets in your books?
Yeah, in one of my series, I have a talking cat named Benedict.
Oh,
he's a familiar. That. Yeah.
I have a lot of... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I have a talking capybara in one of
oh.
my, and it's become like my mascot for when I go to conventions and stuff.
Nice.
Like I had some art made of the capybara wearing a space helmet because this is my first sci-fi book. But there's also been cats, dogs, horses, all over the place in all the books. So.
Yeah, us being epic fantasy have to have horses. There's horses all over the place in order to get around anywhere in the world. But then we also have a really cool wolf character that comes in, and there's a specific bond between him and another character later in the series. This is getting into like book 6, 7. But he becomes a recurring character that the wolf does and remains around. And he's a bit more than a pet. I shouldn't call him a pet. He's definitely a character.
Except for when he's bad, and then he is out in the doghouse.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I have a character that has a dog that appears to be a pet, but is a lot more than that, which going forward you find out. And actually, my next book coming out this year will follow him a lot more, which I'm very excited for the readers to get a peek at. But because I kind of mix a lot of fantasy in with the paranormal, I have kelpies, I have satyrs, I have shifter birds and wolves and bears. And so there's a lot of animals. I use my zoology background to kind of just fill in some of those fun animal details.
Yes. So we know one thing. This group loves romance and they love animals. I'm writing a book right now that's it's got a romantic side plot, but it has an albino otter in it as the main character, and it lock picks. It's a pirate book, and it picks locks on chests with its nose and whiskers.
Oh, fun!
It's like just runs up to it and boop opens the door.
Oh,
No
that's
privacy
cute.
from the otter. All right. Big question of the day. We started this conversation on somebody else's panel yesterday. We were talking about romance and endings. And do they have to have happily ever afters? When is it okay to have a happily for now? And if it's a dark fantasy romance, will it have a happy ending or should it have a happy ending? I'm curious to know your thoughts. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer here, so it's not like a pop quiz, but for your own books, where do you feel like you land on whether the book should have a happy for now, happily ever after, or bittersweet?
I'll start. So this was actually a huge conversation between Amanda and I, because when we first initially started writing the books, admittedly, we were writing these books more for us than anyone else, because we were writing what we wanted, which is why the series has been interesting to market, because it's not really to a particular market. So the happily ever after conversation ended up becoming really big for us because we knew we were writing romantic fantasy, and there is an expectation in romance that there's a happily ever after. And that was a huge pressure because I am not that type of person. It's actually Amanda and I joke about it. I'm the dark in our relationship, and she's the kind of love one. So it was a big conversation in how we were going to get to that, because when we initially started writing the first part of the series, there was definitely not a happily ever after at the end of the beginning of the first trilogy. And we actually ended up going back and writing a new epilogue for book 3 in order to make it more clear that this was a happily for now, because we were concerned about audience feedback with that. And ultimately, the goal for us in the 13 book series was to reach that happily ever after. So I can say the end of 13, you can be satisfied with a happily ever after in the Pantracia Chronicles, but it does unfortunately take 13 books to get there. But it was a big thing because we knew it was a big expectation in our genre, but also admittedly, we loved these characters. We really wanted them to have that too.
Awesome.
In my book series, there is not a happy ending for the couple until book 6.
Mm-hmm.
And in between, there are multiple relationships, multiple main characters, so each romantic plot line is a little different. But the way it goes about, I think, still works. But I definitely, it's got a lot of dark parts to it. Character deaths, animal deaths, lots of things. Yeah, I know.
Tell me you don't kill a dog. Oh no!
Oh no! Oops.
Oops. There's also a bunch of mutated dogs running around, and they don't always survive either. So, but yeah, no, there's a bit of every kind of death in my books. I try to not lean too heavy on it, but it does happen. But I do like a happily for now whenever possible, and a happily ever after for most of my books. So.
Well, both of you guys are making me feel a lot better, because my books will eventually get there, but they're not there yet. So there's a lot of ebbing and flowing with the kind of core relationship that happens and little relationships that are happening in between, the bigger moments, shall we say. So it's not there yet, but I promise it will get there eventually.
Yeah, I feel like all of my books are going to be happily ever after, like by the last book. But up until that point, it might be happily for now. It might be a cliffhanger. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, if you just finish at the end of She Awakens, it's like, why?
Yeah. Blood Queen was
Must
the same
read
way.
more.
I got a lot of people, why did you end it like that? Because it needed
Because
to
I
end.
want you to read book 2. That's why.
Exactly.
Well, the sad thing is, it works. Why did you do this to me? Picks up book 2.
I know. Exactly.
Oh,
I'll leave
Ashley.
people wanting more, right? I mean, that's the
Yeah,
idea.
that's all we want.
Yeah. Yeah, Ashley's already got somebody talking about the ending of your
Oh,
series. I had
I
to
can
read it
see it.
to make sure there were no spoilers.
No, there's not. I write HEAs at the end of my series at the very least. Happily for now. I don't think I have any books that I've insinuated a happily for now at the end. They're pretty much always HEAs because for me, if you're writing anything with romance tacked onto it, that's what you should do. For me. I understand other people can do it other ways.
I think that's a general consensus too that
Yeah.
we've heard across a lot of our romance panels is at the end, at the very end.
Yeah.
They deserve a happy ending.
Yeah.
Like put them through hell the rest of the series.
I was going to say, if you're torturing them throughout, you got to give them something.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes. Oh, goodness. All right. Got some fun questions for you guys. Very excited. I go pop my fingers for this one.
Uh-oh.
We're going to talk about level of spice.
Nice.
On a scale of 1 to 3, with 1 being, mine is clean kissing, that's it.
Yeah.
2 being, all right, nothing too descriptive, and 3 being it's open door spice and steam. Where do your books fall?
I would definitely say mine fall more in the realm of 3, probably 2.5. But yeah, I really focus a lot on sex positivity in my books, and so I'm giving my characters, my main character, Nora, she gets plenty of opportunity to show what she enjoys, and it's not every single chapter by any stretch of the imagination. There's just like a couple of very nice scenes, but I don't leave much to the imagination in that realm.
Yeah. I
And
have
that's
written
three over there too, Kayla.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah, ours is definitely open door. We have some rules though with the open door scenes. One of our rules is it only stays in if it's relevant to character development or plot development.
Yes.
So we do have occasional fade to blacks just because we are still romance and not going beyond that. And then we also have some rules as the types of words too. So some romance that has open door, it goes to a level 5 as opposed to a level 3. We're kind of like a 3.5 maybe if we raise the scale to 5, because it is open door, but rules average is 1 scene per book. One book has 0 because there's too much other stuff going on, and another book has 3. So, it averages out to about 1 spicy, steamy scene a book.
Caitlin, you're being called out in the chat.
I am. And and she's like happy for now. Like she loves happy for now. And I'm like, no, it has to be happy ever after.
Oh, Ashley, you were going to say what level you fell in.
Sorry, my dog started barking like crazy.
Oh, okay.
I have done anywhere from 0 to 3, so clean to open door. My newer stuff is more spicy, and there's definitely sex on the page. But I'm always a slow burn, author. I think maybe I have 1 book that is not a slow burn, and it was a standalone. So, I mean, come on, they got to get there
you can't
fast.
be slow burning.
Yeah.
Mine's always a 3 or higher.
3 or higher.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Like
In all of
your
my
own.
books, in all of them, there's significant spice. But I try to keep the language used classy, so it doesn't feel as much like porn. Yeah. So it it does usually involve character development, and sometimes even plot development. So, but for instance, in my most recent book, The Wasteland Kings, there are 3 sex scenes with 3 different groups of people. So, and it's not a very long book. It's like 68,000 words. So,
I read this book.
Spicy.
Very spicy.
So mine, She Awakens starts off like 0. It's fade to black. And then as we progress in the series, it gets more. And I think She Reigns, which is book 4, I think that one is probably around a 3-ish, 2 or 3. And Blood Queen is more like a 4. So I kind of worked up.
Yeah. Along with the happily ever after. I mean, it just makes sense that they go together, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And I was reading, John, I know everybody has their own opinions about level of romance, which is the good thing because you can always find authors for every level of the scale.
Yeah.
But it does bring back to the chat we had yesterday with Rachel, who writes romance, about taking back the romance genre from where it has been maybe overwritten. And I'm forgetting what she said, but basically certain phrases and situations that have just been done and done and done till we're almost tired of reading them, even as romance lovers. Do you guys feel like that's something we can take back and just adjust and put out in a fresh new spin? Do you feel like it's something we need to just veer away from altogether?
I think it's about taking it back. Honestly, I do think that that's important because this is a story. Like it's something that it's an experience. People experience things. That's why they like stories. And so that's what telling stories is about, is encapsulating the human experience. And so I think it's important to reclaim romance. And I do think that it needs a new spin on it because it has been overdone, especially those Harlequin novels with the typical shirtless man on the cover and all that stuff. People expect certain things, but the reality is some of the top books out in right now, romance is one of the hottest selling genres out there, which is just further proof that it's needed. People want it. And so I think it is we need to reclaim it. I think that that's what needs to happen.
I think that there's a lot of people out there who would want to have those same experiences over and over and over. But there's also a lot of people out there who want to have new stories and new situations, not just the same retelling, just regurgitated over. I try, like we've talked about before, Katherine, I try to do like tropes and like kind of turn them on their heads. So they're not exactly the same tropes as everybody else. I don't really want my stuff to be the same as everybody else.
Yeah. And I personally fall into the field of, I like a couple classic tropes, but I don't want my book full of the classic tropes. Like I love Chosen One. I know it's tired. I know it's been done to death, but I love it with everything that I have. So it's like, how do I do this where it's not Chosen One regardless? It's Chosen One and then they choose that of their own free will and not just reluctant hero, but like this is the path that they wanted. But shifting that in with new turned on their head versions of the trope where there's nothing, here was the original trope and we've turned this upside down.
Well, and Katherine, you talked about when you sent us this information, was the theme was writing without borders. And I think that's a wonderful thing to do in any genre is muddle the genres a little bit and write things that are a little different that aren't always textbook. Even though you tell me a book is Beauty and the Beast trope or storyline, and I'm like, I'm there. So that there's always going to be a certain amount of that, I think, which is needed and wanted and totally wonderful. But also being able to, like, my books mix adventure and mystery along with paranormal and romance and fantasy. And so it was hard to, when I came to the point of having to say, what is my genre? It was like, oh gosh, I don't know. And that was a weird place to be. I had gone beyond the borders and it's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with this comment too.
Yeah, same.
In my opinion, I think romance is needed in a good book. Books are a way to escape from reality. And Vampires and Fae, of course, is now expanding into, aliens and dragons and various other shifters and things like that. And I think what you said is right. It's realizing that we've put these borders on ourselves, and using those borders, we've pinned ourselves into these niches. And that's fine if that's what you love to write, but getting outside of those and bringing in new things might breathe a little more into the genre. But I'm not a romance expert, which everybody here knows if they've watched my channel long. I've got a couple romances, but it's not my strongest suit as a writer. So I leave that to you guys, the pros. All right, so we've done Steam. We've done a little bit about the different tropes that come into it. What is your favorite romance trope while we're talking about it?
Enemies to lovers.
I'm
So generic.
ready for this.
So
Wow.
fast.
Yeah, all of my books have enemies to lovers in them.
I do like
That's
a
a
good
hard
enemy to
question.
lover.
I like enemies to lovers as well, but I think I like more forced proximity because it keeps the tension up forever if they're together.
Can we just combine those two tropes together
Yeah,
and make them one
definitely,
trope? Like,
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's it for me. I think you guys
Mhm.
mentioning those two next to each other, I need both of those together.
Give me both. Kayla's like slides across the
Yeah,
screen.
we have some of it too. That's the fun thing about us having 13 books, and we have essentially the series is chunked into a trilogy, quadrilogy, trilogy, and each chunk of it has its own romantic leads. So we cover the gambit of different romantic tropes because we've got essentially by the end of it, I think 6 or 7 romantic couples in the series. And so like that's why I was having such a hard time thinking about it. I was like I was going through all the characters in the books and I was like, okay, what are all the different tropes that we hit? Which one's my favorite? I think it's the enemies to lover proximity for sure.
That was your favorite to write as well as read?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was that moment where the characters that I'm thinking of that have that relationship, the moment that they finally kiss is just like there's nothing that compares to that tension that's leading up to that moment where they're just suddenly just can't keep their hands off each other and it's just explosion in a hallway of an inn where they were screaming at each other 2 seconds earlier. Yeah.
That's the best
That's it.
relationship, though, in books, not in real life.
Yeah.
I love the delineation there. Here's what I'd like in real life.
Yeah.
Like in the book. Possessive boyfriend in the book. In real life, no.
No.
I don't need the drama. Oh goodness. But no, this is great. So I did have one last question for the whole panel and give us all some time to answer through it. And Ashley, I'm going to let you start this time.
Okay.
But every writer on this panel is very talented and has put a lot of passion and heart and soul into your books. And it's interesting that this is also an entirely indie author panel. So what about being indie has affected your writing journey the most? Was it the community? Was it something about the writing process?
Definitely the indie community has affected me quite a bit. I actually used to be a scientist and found writing pretty late in life, and I started it through NaNoWriMo and then kind of became more integrated into the community. And literally one person told me about indie publishing, and then I just like slammed myself into like all the Facebook groups to learn everything because I knew nothing. Like I didn't barely even know how to write at that point. So yes, the community for me has helped me tremendously over the years.
Yeah, Jamie, you want to take it next?
Yeah, sure. So all of my books that I've published have been published with one indie press, which is called JMS Books, and they specialize in queer storytelling. So I've written books knowing that I want that specific publisher to print them. So I follow the submission guidelines early on in the process to make sure that it will fit for them.
Yeah,
So that kind of community has helped. But also I know so many indie writers, and they're all very supportive of each other. With a few exceptions, but mostly supportive. And I meet interesting people all the time at cons, and just it's great knowing that I'm not alone in this journey.
absolutely. Yeah, we talked about on the other panels how you can only write so fast. And each of us, even if we do write fast, it's got to be edited, it's got to be put out. And when you get on a community like this, the people who love romance comes to the panel today and they're like, oh, there's 5 authors here. So while I'm waiting on Ashley's next book, because I've seen so much love for Ashley and, Caitlin and you guys in the chat, and Jamie, I guess that's your sister in the chat.
Yes.
But while they're waiting on your next book, they can pick up somebody else's book and get enriched in these other worlds. And it's really a community effort to lift everybody up, to keep from that voice, like we talked about with AB's books earlier, from disappearing. Is if you're going in at trad, you're sort of on your own with them and whatever marketing they give you. But if you come indie and you've got that support and stuff, they can share, hey, my friend put this new book out. And it's just great to be a reader in that community, I think, too. So, Caitlin, what about you? How has being indie impacted your writing, publishing journey the most?
Oh, man. So I'm going to go with community too, but I'm going to add on. But I don't know. I love the other authors. I love all the support and all the help. And then I get to talk to some of the authors that like I read before I was a writer even. So that's always super interesting and super impactful. I don't know. It's been so hard for me because, like we said earlier, I'm not a tech person. My entire family are tech people. I didn't get it. And so having to learn everything that goes into being an indie author, a self-published person who has to do everything, has to do marketing, has to do formatting, writing, and it's just been a lot to undertake, but I'm so glad that I did.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll jump on that too, because I agree. Like, I'm with you on that. Like, it's been really hard learning a lot of the things. I still haven't cracked the marketing code. I think a
Don't
lot
feel
of
bad.
people, yeah,
I have a business degree.
I
I haven't either. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Like, it's been a really cool experience, like learning it. And the thing, Amanda and I were encouraged early on to indie publish because we were so fast. Because we were writing these books because our average was 3 books a year. And so the other thing that I think is really cool with indie is that you retain so much control, because that's one of the things that you end up losing if you go traditional, because Amanda and I really wanted Pantracia to be a very specific way. We wanted it to be what we were writing for ourselves. We didn't want to change it. We wanted to pick our own covers. We wanted to pick our own titles, and have that control. And so that's been something that I think is really cool from the indie side of things and the self-publishing side of things. And in reality, you're working your butt off, but you're seeing all of the income from that working your butt off instead of having to share it with someone else. Because the reality is, even if you go traditional, you still would have to work your butt off marketing nowadays.
Yeah.
So why the heck would you give part of your income to someone else? And sorry, Caitlin, I got you beat on the tech thing, because that's the other thing that Amanda and I had the advantage of, was that both of us are super tech savvy.
Dang it.
And so that's actually been really helpful, utilizing even skills from other things. Amanda used to be a visual graphic artist, and so like we've got that Photoshop in spades. It's nice, but the community has been amazing too. I have to jump on the community bandwagon too, because cons, I freaking love going to Comic Cons. It's like one of my favorite things on the face of the planet, meeting readers face to face and then meeting other writers. And I can't even say I love doing panels at cons. I don't know if you guys have ever done a panel at a con before. It is great. There's nothing in my mind that beats just doing a panel. Like I love doing them. They're so much fun because people are there wanting to learn about indie publishing, and everyone is just willing to be this wealth of knowledge to everyone. And I'm one of those people that I'm like, someone comes up to my table and is like, oh, I want to indie publish. I'm like, great, send me an email. I'll tell you all the crap not to do. You know, so it's been really fun. It's great. The community is one of the best things too, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to sound like a broken record at the end. Definitely community. I came into this writing thing from a science background, and I wrote a book for a friend essentially, and she was like, oh my gosh, you have to publish this. And I was like, I don't know anything about publishing a book. I know nothing. I knew nothing about the community or anything. And I happened to have a neighbor who knew the local indie author publisher and got me connected. And all of a sudden it's like I had a book, but what do I do with the book? So finding my way onto Instagram and finding that authors community has just been incredibly helpful. And I really am grateful for everyone who has fielded my questions and been willing to talk about books with me. And finding my writing group was a gift. And it's added so many new amazing people into my little tiny universe. So I'm hoping I'll figure out how to do cons next and, get on more of these things. And it's just kind of a wild journey.
If you want help with cons, Amanda, just message me. I'm happy to pick you up.
2024. So speaking of cons and things, in 2024, I did want to give everybody a chance to drop what is coming out. I do have the links to everybody you see on the screen in the description box, so you can go follow them, check out their books. But if someone was really going to look for something from you in 2024, what would it be?
I'm going to jump on first. My third published book is coming out. It is a small tangent from the Elemental Wolf series. It's still within the world, but it actually follows a different character from the first book and is based around an anti-hero. I'm very excited for people to read it. It's very different. Well, not very, very different, but it's different from Nora's story. And yeah, it's, if I can get all my ducks in a row, it's definitely coming out this year.
Yay!
I'm not going to be probably not having a book come out, at least that I know of so far, but I am going to have a bunch of appearances and stuff. So like I'm going to be doing a talk and book signing at a library in Vienna, Virginia. So if you want to meet me and get a book signed, you can travel all the way to Vienna, Virginia, which is near DC, by the way. And I'm also going to be on podcasts. I'm just trying to, because my book just came out. My ninth book just came out at the end of November. So
Congratulations.
But I do have a kid's book that I'm going to be querying. That is like a middle grade book about talking animals and a little girl who ends up in their world, and yeah. So, but I'm going to use a pen name for that one because my other books are very spicy.
So you're level 5 over here on the spice, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'm doing a kid's book. It's like,
yeah,
well, that's a big switch.
Yeah. No, I already have a pen name picked out. It would be Angelina Price, which is.
If you're looking for a sweet kids book that your child can read while you're reading your spice from Jamie, you can get both.
There you go.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll get picked up by somebody next year. That's going to be one of my major focuses. So.
Awesome. Ashley, what you got going? And we've got Janine saying hey to
Oh, hi, Janine. Next year, I have hopefully 4 books coming out, only 2 of which I have announced the titles to, so I'll only speak about those 2. Book 6 in my Coven of Shadows Secret series, which will probably be the last book in that series, and A Lord of Snow and Greed in my Winter Court series. Yay. That one will come out first, probably.
So not much probably. Going on.
Yeah.
Yes. And we also got a question that I missed, and I'm sorry for missing it, but I'm creating my characters. What's the best way to develop romance and not go too spicy?
I don't think
it's all about the tension. Spicy. Yeah, it's all about the tension. You can have tension without spice. But
Yeah.
I agree.
that's what makes romance is tension.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Kayla said earlier, and I'm looking at this as an editor, I'm switching to my editor shoes for a second here. What Kayla said earlier about what is needed to move the plot forward. You don't have to go beyond that. And if you don't want to have that take place in the bedroom, have that take place outside the bedroom before or after, or unrelated to that. Other things can spark emotion beyond that too, if you're trying to just keep it clean.
You can have a great romance without sex. You don't even
Yeah.
need sex to have a good
Yeah.
romance story at all. So, I mean, I wouldn't. You just have to tell the story that the characters want to tell.
Exactly. And Caitlin, 2024.
2024. Okay. Blood Queen 2 is coming out. Probably.
Yay!
I don't want to give dates.
Don't worry
Currently
about that.
writing, so I don't want to give dates yet. And then I have kind of a semi-secret project. It's already written. It needs heavy edits. It doesn't even have a title yet, but I'm hoping it's already written, no title. I'm hoping to have those 2 books out next year.
Hooray!
Yay!
I'm very excited about that. And Belle, did you take notes? So when I ask you that question in 2 days, it matches up.
Yeah, me and Belle still haven't figured out what year our co-author book. It's either next year or 2024. We haven't decided yet.
Oh, same thing for Kayla's co-author. It's like, by the way, I decided this would be a good time to publicly say we're going to do this.
Well, it's a little quieter on the Pantracia side of things just because the series is complete. So we did complete the series and release the last book in November. So beginning of November was book 13. It's done. So it's a little quieter on our end. But we are planning on putting together hardcovers for 2024, but just because it's been in demand. People have been asking for them. We're going to kind of just do hardcovers that are just the original text of the books, but we're also planning on doing a GoFundMe sometime in 2024 to do collector's editions. And Amanda and I are actually planning on writing some additional content that'll be exclusive to the collector's editions. Thank you so much. It was a process, but it's great to be done. But yeah, so and then we do have a couple. She and I both hit the con scene pretty hard, so she's all over the place in Canada. I can't even tell you what cons she's going to be at. I know she does Calgary, like Fan Expo Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver. I know those are 3 of her big ones. I'm actually going to be at Fan Expo Portland next month, up in your neck of the woods, Ashley. So I'll be at Fan Expo Portland. Yeah, for sure. Are you going to be there too?
No, but I'll come say hi or something. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So I could easily come up and say hi to you guys.
Yeah, Fan Expo Portland. I'm hitting in January. It's that Martin Luther King weekend, is when it is. And then my other big con, which I'm super excited about, and gals, if any of you can get into it, it's fantastic, is Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle. So those are my 2 this year that I'm hitting. It's a little quiet for me because I'm personal side of things. I'm getting married, so I'm a little busy next year. Thank you. So I'm not going to be hitting as many cons, but Amanda's hits the Canada. That's the nice thing about Amanda and I's relationship is I cover US, she covers Canada. So it works pretty well for us. But yeah, so we're all over the place. People just need to join our newsletter and they'll find out where we're at.
Awesome. That's great. Did I get everybody? I feel like I might have missed somebody.
I do have one thing to add, if that's all right. I'm hoping to be at BaltCon this year, which is in Baltimore. It's a sci-fi fantasy convention.
Oh, nice.
I've submitted the paperwork but haven't heard back yet. But I'm really excited for the idea of being able to go to that one. So I would have my own booth and everything. So looking forward to that.
Well, that's super exciting. Thank you all for sharing. And everybody, seriously, if you want to follow everything that these authors are doing and read their books and possibly meet them in person, you can check out all the links in the description box. I can talk. Thank you all so much for coming on and chatting with us about romance, the good, the bad, the hidden. So for those who are wanting to meet more authors, some of whom will write some romance, but that's not going to be the main jam. stay tuned because we are only on day 1 of the Blitz. The Blitz is 2 more days. It's all day Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So we're on day 1 of the Blitz. So 3 more. We're going to be back here in about 15 minutes to chat with a different fantasy author who does fairy tale retellings. That would be Christine Marshall. And then coming back for a lit RPG and Portal Fantasy panel tonight at 6 Central. So subscribe to catch all the panels and authors. Thank you all so much again.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
Thank you for having
you.
us.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.